Hello and welcome back everyone. This is going to be another Heart of the Swarm replay. We are going to have, under the alias Vanity Prime, as the Red Zerg, it is MYMPheonixZ from Meet Your Makers. And in the top right, we are going to have VPBenQlSiw. Very close to the name that I use, no E though. So, PBZ, Heart of the Swarm, what do we expect? More than likely on this map, pretty easy to forge fast expand, as we see. Yes, he is doing. A lot of two-base play, as it's kind of difficult to take your third, as it's like extremely out in the open. I mean, there's 3 attack paths that they can come through. It is a very good place for Zerg to engage, as you can see, like, this covers the entire screen. So you don't have to worry about getting force fielded out or anything of that nature, but more than likely going to see some sort of, like, 2-base Swarm Host Corruptor or 2-base Mutalisk play to move into the 3rd and 4th bases away from the opponent, as this would be a semi-good spot for a 3rd base, but it is expanding towards your opponent, so it is totally not viable. I do think as Heart of the Swarm progresses, we will see no more close ground, as this 3rd is pretty much impossible to take. This is set up very similar to what is that map? Entombed Valley on Wings of Liberty, where you have your 3 bases, and then the 4th base is kind of in between. And they've eliminated close ground just due to the fact that, like, a lot of rushes can happen. It's a very short distance, so it will be close air or cross spawns, which I would be quite happy with. Pylon block coming down after the Nexus, and Forge is already on the way. Spawning pool is up, so more than likely just going to see a wing or 2. But no, Protoss player being quite nice here. Canceling the pylon, just knowing it's already ahead. No big deal, doesn't really need it. Little gap here in the wall off to make sure that a probe can stay there. No lings can, in fact, run by. Just going to be checking for any sort of cannon rush. Interesting thing to note will be, when does the Zerg player grab his gases? As the Protoss player has already grabbed 2. This is a fairly standard build. He'll probably drop down like another pylon and then a couple more gateways just to make sure that he's safe from any push, but this is dangerous. If the Zerg player had already grabbed gas and the probe had left and he didn't know, speed could be on the way, and this could be a potential huge ling flood in your base, and, well, you don't want that. Although, nice wall off here, only allowing 1 or 2 Zerglings to get in here. You would actually have to go all the way around due to this cyber core. Very cool. Warp gate on the way, Stargate on the way. Very cool. 3rd hatchery is almost up. As he is aware, it is a forge fast expand, so you can pretty much easily take 3 bases. The question is, how do you defend all of this space? Then you also have to worry about this entrance in the back. Maybe some Oracle harass, Void Ray harass, Phoenixes picking things up. So you must have a very mobile army. I would recommend, as I said before, like a Ling Muta build into Roach Hydra, as it just covers your bases so much better. A little bit of a zealot push out here, grabbing 2 gases, keeping these ones in the main. This is very nice because if a scouting zealot happens to get up in here, he'll see these 2 gases, and then, as a Protoss player, you are not sure, do they have 4 or do they have 2? Because you don't know about these in the main until this Oracle comes up. Now we see 3 more gateways coming down. So he is going to go up to 4 gate for defense and an Oracle. More than likely going to wait for 2 or so. Very cool looking unit, must say. He is already pushing out. Warp gate is about to finish. Does look like he might try and put on some pressure here. We probably will see a proxy pylon. Yes, we do see a proxy pylon, so this third could be in danger. This is why I recommend around the 7-minute mark, start putting up a spine crawler at each of your bases, just to make sure that aggression like this doesn't happen. We do see a ton of drones already going down. Oracle's so strong. The DPS on those things is, well, crazy. As you can see, it almost killed one of those queens already. The zealot does in fact get that. Roaches are out now, and the aggression thus thwarted. Robo now on the way, so he will be transitioning out of this, but it does have a Void Ray as well coming out, as +1 weapons should be finishing up, and that will be very, very nice to maybe warp in like 5 zealots, come up in here and do some damage. But now there's so many lings out, a handful of roaches, more lings on the way, speed about to finish. That should be good. Very delayed mothership core. Not sure exactly why. It was more than likely because he opened Stargate, did not have the 100 gas required for it. And we see a small roach push coming out. Some lings as well. And what is he going to do here? Try and pick off some... Yes. He's going to try and pick off a bunch of these zealots, but the zealots not really in the best place. Yes, he force fielded these roaches, but I mean, he used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 force fields, and now we can see a lot of these sentries do not have more than 1 force field, and that is not good, especially when you have huge ling counter aggression like this. You can actually just trap the ling, or the entire army here on creep very, very easily. Does look like he's just going to be moving into a 3rd base. Photon cannons coming down. Would like to see a pylon here with 2 photon cannons, as this attack path and this attack path are really not guarded. You can kind of just get up into the mineral line fairly easily. Robo Bay on the way as well. +1 range attacks, as well as Galil Reconstitution. +1 ground armor. Being chronoed out here. Another immortal coming. Supplies fairly even. Vanity is a little bit behind. We'll check the worker count. In fact, yes. He is behind by 10, and, well, he did kill 9, so that's pretty much the reason. Layer is finished up. What kind of layer tech are we going to see? Is it going to be Infestation Pit, Spire? Tons of lings out on the field, though. And I do have a feeling that, man, if he engaged up here, he could really do some damage to this thing. Although the mothership now has enough for photon overcharge on this nexus, making it extremely powerful. Should check this watchtower just to make sure that his entire army is not being watched. This is just an observer, okay. More pylons coming down here. Grabbing his 5th and 6th gases. Would like to see Vanity take a 4th and 5th base here shortly, but it does not look like that's going to happen. Scouting Hallucinated Phoenix. Roach is coming in from this side, so now it looks like he knows this base is going to have to be left to die. But no, some pretty good force fields so far. Still a ton of units available. They are going to try and come in from the side. Not a ton of force fields left. Actually, that looks like that's going to be all of them. You just can't get in here, and the range on these units are so good if you land these force fields perfectly like this. The roaches, in fact, only have a range of 4, whereas there is a range of 6 on the immortals, as well as the stalkers, in a range of 5 on the sentries. He has now forced out pretty much all of the energy. Yes, he will have a couple force fields left if he engages here very soon. Tons more stalkers being warped in makes perfect sense, as Blink is now done. You can really make those effective. Extended thermal lance coming down, as well as +2 weapons, +1 carapace for the Zerg player. Moving into a very slow infestation pit. Actually getting a second infestation pit. Not sure why he's doing that. He might have forgot that he already built this one. A little bit of a blunder there. Small engagement coming, but force fields pretty good. And no anti-air, so this Void Ray and this Oracle can just sit here for forever. This is why you have to get Hydras out as a Zerg player. Too many cannons to engage into this. At this point, if you see this many cannons that have been thrown down, I mean, how many cannons is this? 8 cannons? That's like 1,400 minerals. At that point, you know that he's already economically invested in making sure that this base stays up. He obviously has a pretty stout force. Go ahead, take your 4th base. Go ahead, take your 5th base. Just really macro up hard. Try to tech very hard, because that's what you have to do. You have to catch. I mean, even if you attack into this with this force, there's so many cannons here that in this planetary nexus that by the time you get in there and do any sort of damage, half of your stuff is in fact dead. Very nice time warp coming out here. 2 Colossus on the field, 5 Immortals. That is going to pretty much shred through just about anything. It does look like we're going to see an attempted Ling run by, but there is a Zealot on hold position and more Zealots being warped in. Not really worth time. Void Ray doing so much damage. They should have like a units damaged tab as well as killed. And I do fear that this counter push is pretty much going to be the end of the game, as well. Vanity has just been trying to put on aggression this entire game. He has a terribly low cost, low tech army. Almost all Zerglings with a spattering of roaches, and I mean, you have Void Ray here, you have tons of Blink Stalkers. How many Immortals? Like 5 Immortals, 2 Colossus, a Mothership Core. This is going to get trounced. Unless there are the best Fungals that the world has yet seen. Even then, I do not believe it's really going to matter too terribly much. As we see the supply for Vanity dropping extremely quickly, and yeah, you just can't let well, GG is called from Vanity. This is a very good example of you must mass expand as a Zerg player. As we can see, he doesn't even have his 4th base up. He was on 3 base economy, the same as the Protoss player for the majority of the game. There's a hilarious amount of cannons here that he kept attacking into, kept trying to do very ineffective Ling run-bys. I mean, there's a full wall off here. You can't even get in. So, yeah. Moral of the story, mass expand a little bit quicker, tech a little bit harder. Don't worry as much about your army, as it seems that your Protoss opponent was not going to push out anyways until the 200-200 mark. But if you did enjoy the game, please subscribe, leave a comment. Feel free to let me know any sort of criticism,